These are the 10 businesses that started in a garage, and the stories that will make you rethink everything you know about success. The count starts now. Number 10, Harley-Davidson. The year is 1903. The Wright brothers are building a plane. Henry Ford is building a car. And in a 10 by 15-foot wooden shed in Milwaukee, two childhood friends are building something no one asked for. William Harley and Arthur Davidson wanted to attach an engine to a bicycle. Not a factory. Not a company. A shed. With Harley-Davidson Motor Company painted on the door by hand. Here's the fact that should hit you hard. Their first motorcycle couldn't climb hills. Literally. They had to pedal it up inclines like a bicycle with an engine assist. It was embarrassing. They sold exactly 3 motorcycles in their first year. 3. Today Harley-Davidson is worth over $4 billion. That wooden shed is preserved as a national landmark. A 10 by 15-foot room that built a global icon. The shed didn't make Harley-Davidson. The refusal to stop after selling Mattel. World War II just ended. The world was rebuilding. And in a garage in Southern California, a husband and wife started making picture frames. Picture frames. Not toys. Harold and Ruth Handler had a side hustle using frame scraps to make dollhouse furniture. The furniture started selling better than the frames. So they pivoted. The company was named Mattel. Combining Matt from Harold's first name Elliot, and Al from Ruth's first name. 2 names. 1 garage. 0 toy experience. Here's the fact. Mattel created Barbie in 1959 because Ruth noticed her daughter preferred playing with adult-looking paper dolls over baby dolls. Every other toy company thought it was a stupid idea. Girls want babies, they said. Ruth ignored them. Barbie became the most successful toy in history. Mattel is now worth over $6 billion. The picture frames are forgotten. The pivot is everything. Number 8, Lotus Cars. Colin Chapman was an engineering student. He had no money. No factory. No automotive degree. What he had was a lock-up garage in Hornsey, London, and an obsession with making cars lighter. While every other car company was adding horsepower, Chapman had a single rule. A rule that would change motorsport forever. Simplify. Then add lightness. He built his first car, the Lotus Mark I, entirely in that garage. He welded the chassis himself. His girlfriend stitched the seats. It wasn't a business. It was a marriage of love and engineering. Here's the stunning fact. Lotus went on to win 13 Formula One World Championships. 13. Against Ferrari. Against Mercedes. Against teams with 1,000 times the budget. The company revolutionized car design. The Lotus Elise is a direct descendant of that garage-built philosophy. Simplify, then add lightness. Colin Chapman didn't have a factory. He had a principle. Sometimes one principle is enough. Number 7, Patagonia. Yvon Chouinard was a climber. Not a businessman. Not an entrepreneur. A climber who was annoyed that climbing equipment was terrible. So he started making his own pitons. Metal spikes climbers hammer into rock. In his parents' garage in Burbank, California. He sold them from the trunk of his car at climbing spots. No marketing. No business plan. Just a guy who wouldn't compromise on quality. Here's the fact that makes Patagonia different from every other company on this list. Chouinard hated the environmental damage his own pitons were causing to rock faces. They were too popular. Too successful. So he voluntarily stopped making them. His most profitable product. He replaced them with aluminum chocks that didn't damage the rock. He chose the planet over profit. In the 1970s, when nobody was talking about the environment, Patagonia is now worth over $3 billion. But here's the kicker. In 2022, Chouinard gave away the entire company. Legally. He transferred ownership to a trust fighting climate change. Earth is now Patagonia's only shareholder. The garage boy gave the one that started everything. Literally. 1939, Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard. A garage at 367 Addison Avenue, Palo Alto, California. Their initial capital? $538. Their first product? An audio oscillator. They sold 8 units to Walt Disney for the movie Fantasia. Disney was their first customer. Let that sink in. 2 unknown engineers in a garage. Their first client is Walt Disney. The legend was being written before they even knew they were writing it. Here's the fact that changed technology forever. That garage is officially recognized as the birthplace of Silicon Valley. Before Google. Before Apple. Before any of it, there was Hewlett and Packard in a 1-car garage with $538 and a soldering iron. HP now generates over $50 billion in annual revenue. But more importantly, their success model. Two founders, a garage, no permission, became the template for every tech company that followed. You don't need Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley needs you. Number 5, Google. Larry Page and Sergey Brin were PhD students at Stanford. They had an algorithm called Backrub. Yes, Backrub. That was the original name. They rented Susan Wojcicki's garage, the future YouTube CEO's garage, for $1,700 a month. Here's the fact that will change how you see Google. In 1999, just 1 year after starting, they tried to sell Google to a company called Excite. The asking price? $1 million. Excite said no. $1 million was too expensive for Excite. Today, Google's parent company Alphabet is worth over $2 trillion. Excite doesn't exist anymore. The garage on Santa Margarita Avenue in Menlo Park was just a place to sleep and code. But within those walls, 2 students rewrote how humanity accesses information. $1 million. The rejection that cost Excite $2 trillion. Number 4, Amazon. Jeff Bezos left a comfortable Wall Street job. Senior Vice President. Big salary. Big future. He drove across the country to Seattle and registered a company in his garage. He named it Cadabra, as in abracadabra. That name died quickly when a lawyer thought he said cadaver. So he renamed it after the world's largest river. Amazon. The desk in that garage? Bezos made it himself from a $60 door and 4x4s. That door desk became a symbol. To this day, Amazon employees sit at door desks. A reminder of where it all started. Here's the fact that broke the business world. In the first month, Amazon sold books to people in all 50 US states and 45 countries. From a garage. On a door desk. The world was hungry for what he was building. Amazon is now worth over $1.5 trillion. Bezos became the richest man in modern history. The garage was torn down in 2015. But the door desk? It remains. Number 3, Microsoft. Bill Gates was a Harvard dropout. Paul Allen was a university dropout. They moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico to work with a computer company. They rented a cheap motel room first. Then a small garage. They had no office furniture. No heating. New Mexico is cold in winter, hot in summer. They worked through both. Here's the fact. Microsoft's first major product was not Windows. Not Office. It was an interpreter for the basic programming language, written for the Altair 8800. They wrote it without even having an Altair to test on. Paul Allen wrote a simulator. They were coding blind. It worked. In 1980, IBM came knocking for an operating system. Microsoft didn't have one. So Gates bought an existing system called QDOS for $50,000. He licensed it to IBM. But crucially, he kept the right to license it to others. That $50,000 purchase became the foundation of a $3 trillion company. From a garage in Albuquerque to the most valuable company on earth. Number 2, Apple. This is the garage everyone knows. But the story is better than the myth. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak built the Apple I by hand. 50 units. They sold them to a local computer shop for $500 each. Jobs, 21 years old. Wozniak, 25. No investors. No degrees. Jobs didn't even know how to code. Here's the fact that should destroy every excuse you have. Wozniak built the entire Apple I alone. Jobs just sold it. That's it. Jobs brought the vision and the sales. Wozniak brought the engineering. Neither was complete without the other. In 1977 they released the Apple II. It became the first successful personal computer. Apple went public in 1980. Jobs was worth $217 million at age 25. But it gets better. Jobs was fired from Apple in 1985. Fired from the company he started in his parents' garage. He returned in 1997 when Apple was 90 days from bankruptcy. He then launched the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad. He saved the company that rejected him. Today, Apple is worth over $3 trillion. The most valuable public company in history. The garage on Chris Drive in Los Altos is now a pilgrimage site. Because it proves one thing. The next world-changing company is probably being built in a garage right now. Number 1. Walt Disney arrived in Los Angeles in 1923. He was 21. He had failed at multiple businesses. His previous animation company went bankrupt. He had $40 in his pocket. $40. His uncle Robert let him set up in his single-car garage at 4406 Kingswell Avenue. Walt turned it into a makeshift animation studio. He rigged a camera from spare parts. He drew by hand, frame by frame, late into the night. Here's the fact. Mickey Mouse was created in 1928, 5 years after that garage, as a replacement for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The character Disney lost the rights to. His own creation was stolen from him. So on a train ride back from that devastating meeting, he sketched a mouse. He wanted to name it Mortimer. His wife Lillian said no. Too serious. Try Mickey. Mickey Mouse. That character, born from theft and heartbreak, became the face of the most powerful media company in history. The Walt Disney Company is now worth over $170 billion. The count is done. But curiosity never ends. If you made it this far, you're exactly